Good morning. Today is Zion Tishrei 5771. It's a new year, just started a couple of days ago was Rosh Hashanah. And as a member of the family, I wanted to speak to each and every one of you about what is really going on and what is happening. The title of this video, which I wanted to make and which will come, please God, to you, is titled basically, are you in charge? Are you truly in charge of your life? Are you in charge of what's going on? Are you in charge of your environment? Is what you do completely in your hands? And does anything that happened to you have any effect on the rest of the world? I want to bring this up to your attention because there has been all kinds of things happening in our own personal lives, Mommy and I, and therefore this has affected us tremendously, and even more so in the last few months, as it has probably more so than many of the years since we've been married. If you look around and if you ask the questions, just recently, going back just a little bit of time, a few months ago, a Chabad house in India was destroyed completely, and many people, including the shluchim, the parents of the young boy, the Halsberg, were killed innocently, but they were killed. And it's interesting to note that this is the first time ever in the history that a Chabad house was hit and that shluchim were involved. It's amazing. Rabbi Emmanuel Shochet from Toronto, a Rosh Yeshiva and a professor, university. Perfectly healthy human being. Many of you have heard him and have seen him. Has been diagnosed with a terrible disease in his brain and is holding on to his life by a thin wire. Mrs. Shochet, his sister, Rabbi Emmanuel Shochet's brother, and this is the Rosh Yeshiva. Rabbi Shochet is the Rosh Yeshiva where Shlomo goes to, and basically his wife, just a couple of months ago, woke up in the morning with absolutely no symptom, fainted, and passed away within a couple of days. A dear friend of Rina, our own daughter, was involved in a tragic accident and is still recovering and has experienced all kinds of surgeries and went through trials and tribulations which were absolutely amazing. One issue after another, and not just some of the physical aspects, not accounting for the financial hardship that millions and millions of people throughout the world have experienced in the last couple of years and continue to experience. So much so that there's been amount of people, tremendous amount, that have lost their homes, lost their jobs. Many of them don't have what to eat. Many of them don't have where to go. Many of them have been threatened by their very lives not to be able to do anything about it. What's even more gruesome is that many of them have no clue of what tomorrow is going to bring. You have to ask yourself the questions. These are not easy times. These are very challenging, serious times. I was sued, as you know, many years ago, 10, 12 years ago, by a large company in New Jersey, and I've carried this lawsuit for many years now. It cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. A couple of years ago, another lawsuit was filed in the state of California, and this one was much more aggressively pursued and therefore has affected us a lot more. In the last few months, after endless tries of defending ourselves in negotiations and what have you, and successfully at this point, or so it appears, the opposing attorneys, the ones that are put the complaint against us, they're called the plaintiff, they have made all kinds of motion and to try to take as much as they can. Even more so that in the last week alone, they have tried to go to court and get an order from the judge that they should be able to freeze assets and take basically in possession of a building which we own on Pacific Avenue, my office, which is right here where we are, and our own home where we live. And the reason for this is because those three, according to them, were part of the money that we've made, which they believe should not have been earned, given their side of the story. Now, obviously, all of this is not true, but you have to ask yourself, why are all these things happening? What is the message that I can gain from that? What is it that I need to know? What is it that God is trying to tell us? What is it that I need to do to change some of these things? Now, before I answer that question, I want to ask each and every one of you, look around yourself. Look around your family, your friends, and the relationship and some of the people that you know. And you find out, are they really in charge of what's going on? Are the people truly happy? Do they have issues? Do they have major things that they have to overcome? All these little things are messages that are coming. This isn't things that happen haphazardly. Anybody in this world today who thinks for 1 second that everything that happens in the world is totally unrelated to what they're doing is either a fool or plain stupid. A fool because they just live in a different world. They're just not together. They are psychologically deranged. Or stupid because they wish not to acknowledge what's going on. Everything that happens in the world is connected. Nothing happens by itself, and nothing ever happens without a reason. Everything that happens is for a reason that God wishes it to. He wishes to have these things happen at any given time. You have to ask the question to yourself, however, why am I seeing these things? Why is this happening to me? And what can I do to change that? So the question you have to ask yourself today is, before Yom Kippur, are you really in control? Are you in charge of your life? Are you the architect of your destiny? Is that something that you think you can control? I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact that you have absolutely no control as to what God does. But you have every single part of your life that's connected to what He does. So what do? It's a couple of days before Yom Kippur, and we're going to go and ask God for this year to be a good year. And please God, it will be. We're going to ask Him to bless us with Hatzlacha and Parnasa and health and goodness and all these things. All the things that each and every one has. But you have to ask yourself the question on what it is that God is wanting to give us. Is it something that we deserve? What have we done for Him? If you think about it, what does He really ask from us? It's very simple. Including every one of us in our family today. And I'm only speaking about our family because this is a video personal to you. This video will be seen by no one else other than our family. Ask yourself the question, what is it that God wants us to do? He wants us to lead a Jewish life. And what is that Jewish life? A few things, basically. Eat kosher, pray on a timely basis, and live like a Jew, keep Shabbos, and on the holidays, enjoy yourself by doing a few rituals. That's about the whole encompassing aspect of life. Now, in the olden days, some of these things were extremely difficult. To get kosher food, for instance, or even have access to kashrus, or walking around with kosher things, were very difficult. These things, no less, are so easy to acquire, so easy to do, if you think about it. Every one of us, from Shlomo to myself, every one of us, have access to kosher foods. Easily. It's right there, right next to you. It's a choice between the right side or the left side, but in the same grocery store. We all live, thank God, not only in countries that afford Jewish food, but in places where there's an abundance of kosher food. Shabbos, what is there to say? Such a beautiful day, such a beautiful experience, such a beautiful thing. Gives us the energy, the power, and the ability not only to live a beautiful gathering every single week, but somewhere a time lapse where we are able to recharge on what we do. Jewish customs and holidays, how difficult are they? How easy is it to keep all these things today, where we all live in countries and areas where we can be proud to live as Jews? So really, how difficult is it to be a Jew? To pray a couple of times a day and ask God not only to bless us, but also to protect us. It is so easy to put a coin in the tzedakah box and say to God to please watch over me. But often we don't pay attention to those details, and we believe or wish that we want to be in control, we want to be in charge. We make the decision, and compromisingly, that we want to do things our way. So God at times sends us messages. Now I've heard the argument many times before, and this isn't my answer to those arguments, this comes actually from the Rebbe. People have written to the Rebbe and said, but I see other people doing this, I see other families being able to do this, and they live perfectly okay, and they live perfectly fine, and some of these people don't keep any laws at all. Some of these people don't keep any mitzvahs. Some of these people do whatever they want. That's the argument that many people give. The Rebbe's answer to that was, first and foremost, know that when people say these things, it may not necessarily be what they do. Number one. Number two, you really don't know. You really truly don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. You may see somebody else, and they may look fine. They may look healthy. They may look happy. They may look like they're rich. They may look like they're having the best time of their lives. On the outside, on the appearance. But you really don't know what's going on inside their lives. Interestingly enough, I was in shul just a couple of days ago, and somebody was saying to me, wow, I saw your office. That's amazing. It's so beautiful. If they had just sat down with me for a couple of minutes, and I would have told them the legal factions that we are going through currently, the difficult and challenging and extremely expensive battles that we're going through right now, I guarantee you he would have said to me, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, not for 1 second. As soon as you truly find out about the other person, you really realize they're not having a good day. They're not having a good time. They themselves have their own challenges. You just don't see it. On the appearance, on the outside, they only show you what they want you to see. And that's how you yourself project yourself to other people. When they see you, each and every one of you, including myself and our family, they only see the outside appearance. That you're doing okay, that you're smiling, that you're coming to places, that you're at a party, whatever the case may be. They just don't know what's going on inside your life. They may not know that you have other issues. So the argument to say that other people are doing okay is not true. Other people are not keeping mitzvahs and they're doing okay is not true. Because no one really knows what's going on in their lives. The only thing that you can know for sure, and the only thing that you have control over for sure, is what you do in your life. What you do in your own family. So ask yourself that question. Do you really have what you want right now in your family? Do you have what you need, and are your needs taken care of? And there are examples throughout each and every one of us. And I'll mention them randomly, because I don't want to point to each and any one of you one at a time. But ask yourself, is our family taken care of financially? Do we have the means to pay our bills? Is our family have what we can do to meet our requirements, to pay the rent, to pay the car payment, to meet the challenges of a day-to-day life, to put food on the table? Do we have the home that we want? And Does my husband or myself have the job that we need to be able to come to these needs? Are my kids safe where they are? Do we know where we're going to be tomorrow? Are we healthy in such a way that we are able to do what we're supposed to do? Is the school providing for me the knowledge that I need to get somewhere? Is my environment safe? Do I have good, solid background in what I need? Ask yourself that. Materially and spiritually, physically, emotionally, do you have the things that it takes to be a happy, content person? And you and me and every one of us in our family can make a whole list of everything we can write down and see one thing at a time how many things we are missing. Looking for a job. Are you finding what you really want? When you go somewhere and you're late and you missed an appointment, why did that happen? Why am I not able to get what I need? Why am I not able to get this deal? Why isn't this happening to me? Why isn't that happening to me? Instead of asking why these things are not happening, why these things are not working, why these things are not fitting in, and thinking there's more to be done, ask yourself, are you doing what you are supposed to do? Do not think for 1 second that what happens to you is different than what happens to the rest of the world. What happens to you is a consequence, direct consequence of what you're doing to yourself. Every action that you do has a repercussion. A positive, good action has a positive, good response. A negative, bad action has a negative, bad response. Simple as that. And I know some of you may say, I don't want to hear Musar. I don't want to hear things that I have to do. That's not the Chabad way. You are mistaken. It's absolutely not true. Every single person, every person, from the little babies to the older people, that has ever gone to see the Rebbe and said, I need, I want, I would like, why is it? Any questions they've had for him. The first thing the Rebbe said was, do a mitzvah. Put on tefillin, cover your hair, make sure you daven, check your mezuzahs, eat kosher, something to do towards Yiddishkeit. And when we would say, I've done that, he would say, do more. He was never satisfied, ever. Always more, and more, and more. How different is that than Musar? That is Musar. That is telling you exactly what you need to do. Because if you don't, you'll have to suffer the consequences. Don't think for 1 second it's not going to happen. God created a world where there is justice. And it is not possible, the way the court system was scheduled, the way the court system was set up, it is not possible for you to do whatever you want, be rewarded, and never be punished. Not possible. We know that the way the court system are set up on earth is a direct copy of the court system that is in heaven. It's exactly mirror image. You couldn't, in this world today, make a mistake and think you're going to get away with it. A person will get caught. A person will get a ticket for speeding, and they might lose their license. That's a consequence of not driving according to the law. The same thing happens in heaven. You may not want to call it punishment. You may want to call it a lesson. You may not want to call it a reason. You might want to call it an action or a reaction. But nothing is left undone. Each and every one of us, at one point in time, will have to follow the rules of this world that God has put together. The truth about it is it is a beautiful world. There's a beautiful way to do that. As I said, how wonderful it is to eat kosher food. when we know that it's healthy for us, not just physically, but spiritually, that it protects us, that it gives us all kinds of blessings, that it gives us the strength and the energy to be who we are. It's like putting gas in the car. You put the right gas in it, the car will run smoothly. God forbid you put something which is not good for the car, it will not run or it will break down. How wonderful is it to keep Shabbos? Such a beautiful concept. If you look at it this way, you'll see that these are not requirements, these are not commandments, these are not restrictions, they're a beautiful way of life. And so are all the other commandments, whether it's having a beard or covering your hair or dressing tznius or keeping Shabbos or eating kosher or having the right people or helping another Jew, all those mitzvahs, they have such a beautiful connotation to it. They're not restrictions, they're blessings. Once you get to understand that, you realize they're beautiful things to do. So in my life, I also had to analyze that. Try to figure out, these things are happening to us. What should we do? And the Eibishter wanted us to do more achlatas, more conditions, more mitzvahs. Whatever it is, wasn't enough. And it's every one of them judged at their own level. Moshe Rabbeinu himself was judged. When he hit the rock at Har Sinai, instead of speaking to it, he was told, you're not going to Israel. You're going to be buried outside of the land. Such a man. Give us the whole Torah. Doesn't matter. You make a mistake, you'll pay for it. Even you, Moshe. And every one of us has the same thing. I want to bring this up to your attention because these are serious times. But we have the opportunity to make up these times. We have the options to make this world a better place. We have the opportunity to take this and turn it around and make it in such a beautiful manner, such a beautiful fashion. In a couple of days will be Yom Kippur. Use this day to ask God for all the good things you want. But at the same time, commit to do the things that you can do. And even if some of the things you feel are going to be somewhat challenging, at least take on the achlata to do that part. Take it on. God will say, I'll help you. He will be behind you. He will be behind all of us in giving us the strength, the energy, the enthusiasm, the power, the tools, and all of the things that we need to make it happen. He doesn't want us to fail. To the contrary, He's looking for us. Every day, every second, every minute. I want to end on a positive note. This year is going to be a good year. A year of goodness and happiness for each and every one of us. But it cannot happen without the help of each other. Know that anything that happens to you is a direct action of something that you've done. No question about it. That's first of all. Second of all, every time you do something which is positive or chas v'shalom negative, it will affect the immediate environment of yourself, meaning yourself, your children, or your spouse. Then it will extend to your family, then it will extend to the Jewish people, then it extends to the whole world. So when a Jew does a mitzvah somewhere in South Africa, it affects the other person who is in Australia. Even though they're not connected to each other physically, spiritually they're both affected. And the opposite, if they do, God forbid, something which is improper, the other person also gets the blame for it. But first and foremost, it affects you and your environment. I want you to know that each and every one of the mitzvahs that you do will affect you first. It will affect second, your children and your spouse, and third, every one of yours in the family. I know that in each one of your homes, there are challenges. And I know that by doing the mitzvahs, I will also help you, since I'm your father, and therefore, it will also affect you to that extent. It will also affect the other Jewish people around. It'll certainly affect my wife and certainly me. So we've taken on all kinds of achlatas. I call this with mommy the year of giving. This year we want to give as much as we can, both physically, materially, and spiritually. Physically by doing as many mitzvahs as we can, materially by giving tzedakah and helping each and every one of us, along with as many people as we can help, and spiritually by doing whatever we can to infuse in each and every one of us a year of health, of joy, of happiness, of kindness, of all successes in what we do, both materially and spiritually, so that each and every one can succeed. But I can't do it by myself, and you can't do it by yourself. We work as a nation, but more specifically than this, we work as the Jewish people. And more specific than that, we work as a family. So to each and every one of our family, to the members of our family, and the extended family, please God, may we all be blessed with a wonderful, happy, and healthy, sweet, productive, conscientiously religious, and frum year. Mitzvah Hashem, this coming year. Thank you very much.